Hello to everybody watching this. Welcome to Speak Up Africa, a civic engagement digital platform. My name is Nancy Mtansi Kinyanjui, and I am your moderator. Check out our social media pages that is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as well as our website that is at speakupafrica.net. Check out the ongoing conversations that we have on our platform and also some of the issues that we have covered below our videos. Go and comment. Let us know what you think. We want to engage with you because your contribution will aid to the bettering of our society. Today, guys, we talk about youth leadership in the development agenda. We get to discuss on how the youth and the youth leaders have contributed to the social, economic, and technological development. And joining me in this conversation are two guest speakers. Before we had advertised that we're going to have three. Unfortunately, one of my guest speaker from Kenya, that is Sam, hasn't been able to join us, but I'm joined by a great panel that is Arafat Lesheve from Tanzania and Sam Ogwal from Uganda. Arafat Lesheve from Tanzania is a national youth delegate for Commonwealth Youth Council, and Sam Ogwal from Uganda. He's a secretary for finance of National Youth Council. Thank you very much, Arafat and Sam, for agreeing to be part of this discussion. I'd like to give this opportunity to Sam. Kindly introduce yourself. Give us a brief overview of yourself.
Thank you very much, Nancy. My sincere apology to the viewers and everyone who's joining us online. Where I am, it's a bit noisy. I am in Burundi, and it's a state function. The government of Burundi is launching what they call a youth impulse, which is the construction of all the youth activities and a center that will accommodate all the empowerment of the young people initiatives in Burundi. So my sincere apology if wherever I'm coming from, it's a bit noisy. Colleagues, my name is Sam. Well, I am the Secretary for Finance to the National Youth Council of Uganda. It's a pleasure to connect with you today, and also allow me to thank the organizers, Speak Up Africa, and our moderator, Ms. Nancy, for bringing us together to share our experience in regard to youth leadership, the challenges that we face, and how can we do better, and is the youth leadership relevant for the 21st century development, or we are actually doing a disservice to ourselves. So thank you very much. Those are questions we are going to answer in the process. But I thank you very much, Nancy, and Speak Up Africa for coming up with this wonderful initiative.
Arafat, kindly give us a brief introduction of yourself. Sorry, Arafat, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Nancy.
Okay, kindly give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Arafat Lesheve, and I'm coming from Tanzania, and I work with Africa Youth Transformation as a head of programs on youth empowerment, but also on environment. But currently, I'm also the national youth delegate under the Commonwealth Youth Council, representing United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam and Arafat, for agreeing to be part of this discussion. I'd like to begin with you, Sam. What is the role of youth leaders in our society today?
Thank you very much, Nancy, for the question. Uh, First of all, we should understand that we are moving towards an inclusive development. An inclusive development in the sense that everyone must be on the table to present what concerns them and what they feel like should be the priorities for to sustain our global agenda and for the future development. And that's where the youth leadership come from. Youth leadership form a catalyst or it's a necessity for the voices of the young people to be reflected in all kind of development agendas we have both within the continent, in our countries, respective countries, whether it's in policies, whether it's in negotiation. The voices of the young people always come clearly and will always be clear and heard when it comes from the young people themselves. So it makes the youth leadership to be a prerequisite towards as developing a policies that are inclusive, that are direct, that better suit the needs of the young people. Uh, Nancy, wherever I am right now, the president of Burundi has been emphasizing the need to support the young people. He's appreciating the kind of the young people Burundians are putting forward. And he has put it very clear that within a few time, he's no longer going to be the president. Within time, he's not going to be the president of Burundi. But the leadership mantle will be taken over by the young people who are here. And they should prepare themselves. And that also comes in that the youth leadership form a fertile ground to groom better leaders. The leaders that the world would want to see, the leaders that countries would want to see that are going to make decisions on behalf of other millions of the people that they're going to lead. So that's what youth leadership all about. And I feel like it's very, very important that we recognize that most countries are recognizing that it's time for the young people to be included, it's time for the young people to be recognized, it's time for the young people to be given space. Thank you.
Sorry. Arafat, I'd like to hear your view on that. What is the role of youth leaders in our society?
Yes, Nancy, can you recall the question again? Sorry.
Okay, I'm asking what is the role of youth leaders in our society? I'd like to hear your view on that.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. So I think my better understanding in terms when it comes to the role of youth leader in the society is about young people are the one who are making the changes of today and the tomorrow. So if when it comes to the role of young leaders is about they're the one who to make the decision and the dynasty for the future generations. So the biggest role that we young people when it comes to the society is about how are we making impact to the society? How are we making policies that really aligns to what creating a better environment, an urban environment for ourselves and the future generations? But also, how are we contributing to the development aspect in terms of the community development, in terms of the economic development, but also political development as well. So when it comes to the role of young people, I think we are the champion that really needs to make the changes, advocating for what we really want to see, but also to make sure that young people are on the same table that we can make the decision for ourselves and the future generations. Thank you.
Arafat, I'd like you also to tell me exactly what are some of the opportunities that are available for them, in the contribution, in them taking part in this development agenda, like social development.
I think there's a lot of opportunities when it comes to young people nowadays. Um, Currently now, most of the available opportunities that are across the world are targeting young people. with the age of 15 and around almost 24 to 26. And I'm lucky enough to our country, we have policies that guide us in terms of young people should be under the age of 15 to 35. So when it comes to opportunities, most of the employers nowadays are looking of the young people who are really energetic, who are really technology advancement, but also have the leadership capacity that can really tackle the challenges that we are facing in this world currently now. So when it comes to opportunity that's available in around the world, you can see there is a leadership opportunities that young people need now to come up front on taking different leadership roles in the society. It can be in the financial institution, it can be in the governance, it can be in the community development, but also even in our own family. I think when it comes to opportunities, it's only a matter of how are we changing the challenges to the opportunities. That is how we can generate more opportunities for young people. But coming back on other economic development activities, you can see there is a lot of opportunities when it comes to issues of technology. Nowadays, young people are making business, are making networking activities through technology and a digital platform, selling their product without any limitations, making money transactions across the globe in terms of the country and countries, in terms of the regional side, but also coming back when it comes to agriculture sector, there's also other opportunities young people need to tap on. For example, when it comes to Africa, a large group of people who are making production is young people and women. So the only thing that is only missing the gap is about who are making the value chain. So when it comes to the value chain, you can see the young people are left out. But when it comes to who are going to the grassroots and making that farming production, is young people and women. So you can see that there's a lot of opportunity whereby young people can really advance on economic development when it comes to agriculture sector, but also if they are involved on the value chain, for example, like on the production side, on marketing, finding the marketing of those production, selling those products, but also making them visible as a product that are generated by young people when it comes to development side. Then the other aspect that you can see in terms of opportunity that we nowadays, people are very ambitious and seeing young people in making changes. The only challenge that is available to young people is about most of the community are scared about young people to take the ownership or to take the charge because they are still not thinking that young people can make changes. So there is a lot of opportunity that young people can really tap on, but it depends on the current situations. It depends on the areas of living in terms of the countries, environment, but also available opportunities. That is also connecting to about career development. It is also connecting to the professional development that these young people are really need to look on the 21st centuries. What are available opportunities that they can really tap on, not only thinking about the everyday daily usual activities that young people are used to be generating income. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arafat. Sam Ogwal, you are a secretary for National Youth Council of Uganda. I'd like you to tell us how do we improve youth participation in policy making agenda in their countries?
Kindly pardon, sorry.
You
Nancy,
want me to repeat the question? Yes. Okay,
kindly pardon.
I'm asking Sam. You are secretary for National Youth Council of Uganda. How do we participation in policy making agenda in their countries?
Nancy, as you're aware, young people constitute the biggest demographic dividend in both in our countries, respective countries, and then also in Africa. That means that they have a tenant role to play in every sector of society to prosper. I can give you an example. However much you find a young person that is idle, whether it's stealing, that particular activity is contributing towards the economic welfare of that society. The reason being that when you look at the data that are available, young people are the biggest contributors towards paying taxes and running small scale businesses in their respective countries. Where I come from in Uganda in 2015, Uganda was rated to be one of the most entrepreneurial country in Africa and around the world. But also another statistic came in a year later, indicating that most of the Ugandan business led by the young people die before seeing their first birthdays. Now, that's come into the question of the sustainability. Are we really sustainably contributing toward the economic development agendas of our country, or we are trying our luck, but the environment is not favoring us? The truth is, yes, it must be. It might be that the will is there, but the environment might not be favoring the young people to contribute in a sustainable way toward the development of our societies. But also the policies that are in place. For instance, I can say that you'll find that the young people's businesses, I much are paying taxes, but they're also more ably taxed by government. Uh, you can start a business as a young person today. Within 1 month, expect to pay taxes to the government, which is in one way or another the amount of money that a young person is supposed to reinvest in their businesses. It's again going back to the authorities. And in one way or another, as councils, we tried with our national assemblies to advocate for tax incentives to be provided to start up businesses in the country. It's still a policy discussion because we notice that how do we resolve the issues that most of the businesses are collapsing before reaching their birthdays. And the truth is that the statistic indicating that us as Uganda or Africa being one of the most entrepreneurial country or continent in the world, it's an indication that the young people are willing to do something that is able to support them and empower them economically. So it's the responsibility of us, the youth leaders, and us, the other young people, to advocate for a proper, safe, and conducive environment for them to prosper economically. Yeah, so in a nutshell, the truth is, yeah, the youth leaders through the network are contributing to the advocacy, but also speaking in the country. So the truth is, yes, we are contributing because we are part of the society, and young people don't want to be idle. Young people want to contribute, do something that will bring cash, that is going to bring something of monetary value in their pocket, in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. And to our viewers, unfortunately, we are very sorry. There's a technical problem that is affecting our live stream. And now, Arafat, I'd like you to tell us how do we repurpose the youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities? Since you have experience in youth development programs.
Nancy, was it me? I can't hear you, Nancy.
I think I cannot hear you, Nancy. Nancy.
Can you hear me now? I'm so sorry for that. There's a technical problem, an internet problem.
Yes, I can
Um,
now.
Arafat, I was asking you, since you have experience in youth development programs, how do we repurpose the youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities in a country?
I think I cannot hear you. Maybe I can drop on, then I can join again.
Uh, you don't have to do that. Let us just try and fix it from our end. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
You just okay. Because let us just wait for him. Sam,
Yes.
how do we repurpose youth leadership agenda to focus on national development
Yeah,
priorities of a
yeah,
country?
you're breaking. You're breaking. You're breaking. I couldn't hear you well.
I'm asking,
Mm.
how do we repurpose the youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities?
ko numvise ko mu bikorwa akora amahera nk'umure yotugurira akagoro nagira rero hamagare wagwaruka
Yes, Nancy. Your network was breaking. I couldn't hear the question well. Huh? My apology for that, but you are not clear.
yikiza
Yeah, can I repeat again? Can I repeat?
Yes. Please do. Please do.
Okay, I'm asking, how do we repurpose or retool the youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy, for that wonderful question, and very important. One, our relevance as youth leaders is seen based on impact, and if leadership is not providing impact, then it's better as if it is not there. So, on issue of the national agenda, I think it depends on the composition and the level of respect and authorities given to the youth leaders who are in that particular doctrine or who are serving within that particular time. For instance, in Uganda here, uh, uh, where I come from, and I'm a member of the National Executive Committee of the Youth Council. The Youth Council is constitutionally and recognized by government as an umbrella body of all the young people in Uganda and for all the youth-led organizations with structures from the village up to the national level. And in that way, our engagement with government is not based on that we are there. Our engagement with government is based that we are representing the voices of the young people of Uganda. And it means that any policy discussion, whether it's being done by ministry or whether it's being carried out by parliament, our voice is very important. And of course, most often we are always invited by the parliamentary committees who are always scrutinizing the laws and policies and regulations of government to give in our views and inputs regarding those particular laws. For instance, we have the election laws that is always tabled before election takes place. Electoral law, the Parliamentary Amendment Act, the presidential amendment bill, and all those laws that govern election. It is the same spirit when it comes to taxation, the law governing taxation, because as I say, the young people are the biggest contributors in terms of numbers on when it comes to tax collection and revenue collection of the country. So most time we are engaged by parliament to ensure that we present some of the itching issues, the overarching issues that need to be included that reflects the voices of the young people, even in programs. So when look at in that context, we have always been consulted on whether the program suits the young people, whether the program will suit the demand of the young people, and whether the specific government program that is going to come in place will be welcomed by the young people, and whether they have a role to play. But now we have in Uganda what we call the wealth creation programs. And in the terms, we call it the parish development model, where government is trying to remove the 38 and 39% of the Ugandans who are living in abject poverty. And this program, we have managed to lobby through our network, through our engagement with the government to ensure that the young people are represented within the structures that are going to coordinate this program. In such a manner, they're given the mandate to mobilize the young people to benefit from the program. They are able to hold government accountable and also in position to tell young people what they need to do and also hold them accountable because they're the voice of the young people. So that in actual sense, that's how we have been contributing, and that's what makes it relevant and appropriate for us to have effective youth leadership and representation and how it can benefit them. But otherwise, the environment surrounding the youth leadership is political because of the numbers that we have, and then also it is disunited based on the interests of the different stakeholders and the young people that we lead. So we are not all that fully coordinated because the young people, the people with the right mindset, the people with the wrong mindset, the people who want to see things happening, the people who are not patient. So all these things creates an environment that, if it's not well managed, the agenda of the young people become very difficult to push for. I thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Sam, on that. Uh, Okay, thank you very much, Sam, on that. I'd like you also tell us how are the youth leaders creating solutions to thrive, especially to some of the youth that are not well equipped in digital skills. How are the youth leaders creating solutions for technological development?
Thank you very much, Nancy. All this comes to the point of inclusion. And we should know that as young people, we are at advantage when it comes to technological development. The generation that were before us, or even way much before us, who are leading us now, didn't understand what we call the terms technology. They could not even, as I can say, they're still adapting to it. But for us, we are born in the generation of technology. Right now, I'm talking to you because of technology. And this is something so that we are embracing it. But also, we should know that very many young people are innovators. That's one reality I have seen. They have wonderful ideas. They have solution to most of the contemporary problems that are facing the community and the society of now. When it came to COVID time, you were aware that most of the young innovation that came around tracking and tracing of COVID patients were developed by the young people. That's in reality show that the young people are thinking to provide solutions for the current challenges innovatively. But the biggest issue has been the support. Are the support there to support this, to facilitate these innovations to prosper? Of course, that's the big question of debate. Technology is there, the ideas are there, but there has been limited support to support these innovations to prosper and address the contemporary issues. Secondly, we also have the issue of being organized. We have innovation coming, similar innovation being produced by the young people. When you ask them, so what's the difference between this and this? Here, copying and cutting. So that's also another issue. I think what we need to do, and this the ball come back to us, that if we have the necessary support and which is available for the young, scrutiny of this innovation that is easier because we are able to understand. We understand also the challenges facing us, but also we are able to understand this innovation into depth. But otherwise, innovatively, I must say that the young people are advantaged and they have embraced it, and they're trying to use all means and avenue to ensure that they solve the current contemporary problems that are facing the society using innovation. Thank you.
Thank you. Arafat, you have experience in youth leadership programs, and I'd like to hear your view on how do we retool youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities.
Come again, Nan, sorry.
Okay, I'm saying you have experience in youth development programs. I've checked your bio, and I'd like to get your view on how do we repurpose the youth leadership agenda to focus on national development priorities.
Yeah, thank you very much for the good question. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so when it comes to youth development and meeting like integrating in the national development policy, I think most of the CSOs or most of the young people in Tanzania, they are supposed to realign with the national development policy. So currently we have national development policy, which is of 2007, and we are now on the process of reviewing the new national youth development policy. And the role of young people is to make sure that all of the agendas that are really um, aspired but also targeting young people are being captured on the new youth development policy. So when it comes to implementation, you can see there's a lot of projects that have been implemented in the country level, on the CSOs, but also on the youth as well. So for example, I'm working on an organization called Africa Youth Transformation. What we currently do is we make sure that we put young people at the center level by empowering them. Secondly, we do a policies analysis that really captures young people's needs and wants. For example, when it comes to the budgeting processes, how are we make sure that young people are involved in the budgeting processes, including um, including ensuring that youth agendas are also budgeted on the national budgets, but also the regional budgets. The other thing is also about how is the national budget increasing every day to make sure that also increasing the value of all the money that really support young people. So, for example, in our country, we have a policy that guides young people to get loan from the government, the Youth Development Fund, whereby young people are accessing fund from the government so that they can really come up with the initiative that can make money and develop their own economic status. So that is one of the implementation when it comes to the the development policy in our country. But also in our organization, you can see we have initiated one of the program called Tanzania Emerging Youth Awards. Tanzania Emerging Youth Awards is a program whereby we identify young people who are really doing good things on the grassroots level. Then the second thing is about how are we building the capacity of those winners to create more jobs to other young people. So we saw that there's a very high need of young people who are doing very great things at the grassroots level, but they're not well recognized. But we have a very few young people who are doing very good things. They have financial status, they have accessibility, but they do not help other young people. So we thought like, okay, how are we making new jobs? Is by identifying emerging young people who are doing great things in different sectors, recognizing them by giving them award, then building them their capacity by giving them the missing skills that are missing from them, so that they can create more jobs based on the industry that they're working with. So that is also one of the experience in terms of how we make sure that the youth development is also helping young people to grow in the different sectors. Previously, I also worked with one of the projects whereby we had targeting young people who are very vulnerable when it comes to lower education sector, like lower education in terms of the TVET. So if I want to focus with the TVET institution, youth who are going through TVET institution, we had to giving them life skills, career guidance, but also job placement. It was
Hello, Arafat, can you hear me? Uh, Looks like
There's
we've
a lot
lost
of
it. Okay. Looks like there's an internet problem. I just have to.
did I
Uh,
drop?
Sorry, I think
Did I drop?
there's an internet issue from your side.
Okay. So I was
Yeah.
saying like one of the things that we were also working on previously in terms of an
Mm-hmm.
individual level. It was on the I worked with one of organization, international organization that was targeting young people who are passing through TVET institution, because there's a lot of young people who are passing through TVET institution, but they have a skills misgap. So what we did is by giving them life skills, career guidance, but also job placement services, whereby we connect them with different job markets that they can secure the jobs by first securing internship. Then after getting internship, they get the skills that they require for them to get the jobs. After that, most of the company, since those young people have a very good soft skills when it comes to life skills, like decision making things, how to wear very good, how to work, how to protect their jobs, how to make sure they are very sensitive on their wealth and health about themselves. How can they improve on their career guidance? So it found that there's a lot of a market in terms of the machineries and in this big industry. I also looking forward to hire young people who are passing through TVET institution. So all of that, it's also connecting to the dot in terms of the youth development. When it comes to the youth development, it does not only figure out young people who are only advanced on education level, but also there's a middle level, and there's also young people who are also even out of schools who he did not even just ended in grade 7 to our to or level to
Yeah.
our level when it comes to education curriculum. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thank you very much, Arafat. That is an amazing thing you're doing there with the organization for the youth. Sam, maybe you can share with us one of the projects that you have done that have contributed positively, impacted positively to the social development of your country.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy. First of all, we have been, as council, we have been really working very closely with the young people, and that is our constituency. So their well-being is a priority to us. So basically, one activity or the project that we have been implementing is the development of the youth centers around the countries. And these youth centers are meant to be a home where young people can learn innovations. They can be trained with skills, technical skills. They can actually converge to advocate for their issues in terms of maybe political participation or setting the agenda of their constituency or of their community. And that has been one of our key priorities. But also, we have also been running a social campaign to fight against the vice of teenage pregnancy and early childhood marriage and all that. Because at the end of the day, we notice that when a young person future is disorganized, the society loses a lot. So we felt like that we should reach out to the young boys and girls to tell them about the dangers of teenage pregnancy and engagement into sexual act at a very tender age, and also to talk to the parents and for them to understand the bad part of getting married or letting the children to get married at a very young age. Besides that, we are under economic empowerment also. As I said, the government of Uganda is decentralizing its development to the community through what we call the parish development model. This parish development model, we have ensured that the young people have a certain percent quota allocation at every parish. within their constituency. So if government is releasing, let me say, 100,000 US dollars, then the 30,000 US dollars must go to the youth initiative within that parishes. So that's also one thing, and they're also represented both at the decision making level within that local government level, but also they are supposed to be accountable both to the government regarding the participation of the young people in the parish development model initiative. So basically, the council has been getting in, but other things we are still working around the clocks, like the issue of the climate change and other things, to ensure that the young people play a very fundamental roles towards it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam, for that, and also keep it up doing what you're doing for the youth. As we wrap up, I'd like to know what are some of the challenges that the youth leaders are facing that affect their contribution to the uh, sustainable development goals. Arafat?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy. So I think that's a very good questions, but when it comes to my side, I really
Arafat, switch off
now.
your camera. We can't see you.
Okay, I thought like when I switch on the camera, the internet will be very low. Okay.
Yeah, because we are live on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, so I was saying that's a very good question, and it's really coming back to usually nowadays when someone asks me about the challenges, I really don't like to talk about the challenges because I think when we young people nowadays, we really now think about how are we thinking about the opportunities, how are we thinking about the solution rather than the challenges itself. So coming back to the question in terms of the young people's challenge that's first on the young leaders towards the sustainable development goals. I think the first thing is about the financial resources. There's a very big high need of young people on securing the financial resources to implement the SDGs in terms of the sustainable development goals, either in the regional aspect, either in national aspect, national level, but even the community level. Because end of the day, you might have an idea, you might have a solution, but if you don't have financial support, it really have a big challenges when it comes to implementation on that side. Then the other thing is it comes to issues of harassment. There's been a very high a high harassment when it comes to youth in the leadership side. You can see there's a very high struggle when it comes to young person having a very leadership role. There's a very big pushback to the community, pushback to the elders, but also even the government side. You can see, at least nowadays, most of the government are really make sure that young people are bringing up on a different leadership position. Then the other challenge that I really see when it comes to the sustainable development goals is also about the technology advancement. Most of the African countries or most of the developing countries are facing high challenges when it comes to technology advancement, and this really also push back a lot of young people uh, and energy, but also creativity and innovation towards implementing the sustainable development goals. So I think there's a really need a high need, or when how are we attracting the investors, attracting the developing countries to really invest on the technology and digital sector to our countries, because that also helps to advance the infrastructures, helps to attract the creativity and innovation to young people. Then the other challenge that also see is about the policies. Most of the policies that are really guiding us on the implementation are the policies that are very back policies, and they really did not hard to capture what are the young people needs and what are the young people's priorities. So there's a very high need on how we make sure that we enter to the board decision making bodies, for example the members of the parliament, talking about the revising the national policies. It can either be in economic policies, investment policies, empowerment policies, local content policies, environmental policies, all of these policies, including even the implementation of sustainable development goals. How are we putting young people to be meaningfully engaged, not only as a decoration? Because when you say as a decoration, it's only young people where they're just there to show up, but they are not part of the implementation. They're not part of monitoring, but they are not part of designing the solution that they really want to tackle them in terms of that side. Then the last thing I think is also about when it comes, the biggest challenge that also young people are also scared is about the issue of the self-awareness of themselves. To really, are they, we most of young people nowadays are scared to go up front, like they don't believe about themselves. So there's a very high need of how are we ensuring that young people have that right skills, including confidence, including life skills, but also skills that they can really putting them into front, then believe themselves that they can do wonders, but not only uh, leaving everything to the elders or people who are already in the decision making bodies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arafat, for that. I can see Sam is not with us any longer anymore. So we've come to the end of this discussion. And thank you very much to my guest speakers, Arafat and Sam, and for the good and amazing job that you are doing for the youth. As always, my name is Nancy Mtansi Kinyanjui. To our viewers, you can find this video on our social media pages. Let us know what you think and comment, share your thoughts. Let us meet next time on to the next project. Have a nice week ahead.